How's it going? It's Man Tomorrow here. Let's give it a second for people to come in. Make sure you like the stream among coming in. I'm gonna give Zero the actual link so that way we can discuss what happened. This isn't about Art Newstall, by the way, but it is about the people already have all this stuff and how paying attention to the wrong people kind of keep the conversation going over and over again when it clearly don't need to be going on. So let's because it's important to do it quite publicly, because if you try to signal people behind the scenes, the public conversation don't need to happen like it should happen, right? This is why you have to bring up all this stuff at the same time. And you got to stop the younger generation from following these old heads. You got to. So hold on a second while I play some music while we wait for everybody to get in.
Hey, V. Line them up.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Man Tomorrow here. I want to thank you for like, share, comment, and subscribing to my channel. What's going on, Zero? Oh, am I muted? Oh. What's going on, man? I'm making rookie mistakes out the gate.
What's up?
All right, man. So I understand that people thought that I ambushed Hammer's panel, but you need to be able to enter the conversation so the younger people can ask the older people the proper questions. And he started picking up on what I was saying, and then he started asking him the direct questions that I was alluding to for him to actually answer. And then I just stepped back because the answer is you can't do anything with the current level of people within this environment. Not only that, Hammer's generation have all the same answers that I had when I left Mississippi at like 18 or 19 years old. I had all that.
Even more.
Yeah, even more. I mean, you didn't even have major broadcasts of this. Like, I was able to see it because I had direct experience. Not only being in law enforcement, but watching old ass dudes, seeing the actual cycle of meeting a girl at a club, having a kid you weren't prepared to have, y'all trying to make it work by getting married, and then all of a sudden there's a divorce. And then all of a sudden the sergeant is moving back into the dorms because he can't afford a one-person apartment outside of base after he got divorced. So I've seen this cycle over and over again. So it's like, so when you have people who show up to panels trying to have new conversations, I'm like, no, it's like this dude that they have, leave the younger generation alone.
Well, that's precisely why I watch Hammer's stuff.
Yeah,
but I stay off of his panels completely. Like, even when I come in there, he'll ask me to come out and be like, no, I'm all good. And I've talked to him about it before, the reason why I don't go up there. Like if you look at a lot of his guests and a lot of the people that are there, it's like I said, they need to make their own decisions and come to their own conclusions, because they can't keep asking people. They can't keep asking a generation of people who failed. It doesn't matter if they're right, because they already got the answers. So it's like they can't keep asking the same people the same questions to the same things that they already know. Like, if you already see that one generation has failed and then they passed it on to another generation that failed doing the same thing, and then that generation passed it on to another that failed doing the same thing, you don't need to keep asking the same people for that same information. It doesn't make any sense. And that's the biggest reason why I don't go up there, because it doesn't matter if I have a point or not. It doesn't matter if I'm right or not. It makes no difference. But I see what you were doing. It's like, nip that shit in the bud before it gets going, where it starts off innocent enough. Yeah, I see this, I see that. And then after a while, that's how indoctrination works. You get in there. You first, you got to get in there, and then you start pushing the bullshit. It's just like how if you go to like for people who travel around the United States, when you go to different cities, there's different levels of acceptance of other races into Black culture. So if you go to New York, there's a bunch of Latino and shit like that, and they're basically considered Black, even though pushed into a corner, they're not going to claim it. You go somewhere else, you know, they don't put up with that and all that other shit. So I mean, even in more liberal cities, you got where it's almost like Asian people and all the rest of them are like, you know, in the quote unquote black club. So again, it's just more of, don't listen to people who already made the mistakes and want you to make the same mistakes. It doesn't make sense. Just get the fuck away from them. You know?
Yeah, because if you know, at this point in time, it's like, I'm trying to do this without bringing his name up. But if you can, if you know what the end goal is of somebody and they try to go to a new environment, trying to have a new conversation around people, it's like, dude, we can't, dude, you're trying to do the same shit over again. It's like, you can't act like you're brand new when you know what type of contingent of people that you attract around. Despite having the actual conversations that you're having, this is why I also didn't go up, because I think that, but they're actually making a mistake by actually, yeah, it has to be you, Mike. I don't see a buffering on my end. No. All right, so it's like we already had, you know, the mistakes being made. We already had the generations of people trying to get you to chase a false standard of masculinity in order to prove that you're a man in a society that didn't work for them either. We already had that. We already got the podcast that's telling people that they have actually conquered female nature by giving them everything that they want. We've already had that. So
Right.
it's like, so if you watch the people who got the wrong answers, who just displaying a narrative to you, and then you keep responding to the actual narrative over and over again, it's like, dude, at some point, man, you're actually causing your own current problems when you should have all the solutions by now. That's all we're just saying.
Right. Yeah. Again, so like, for instance, his co-host kept invoking people that are literally like reset page one, stay there.
Yeah.
And they invoke it with this level of I guess respect, admiration for the talking points. And it's like, well, if you do that and you do it knowing what the real issues, what the problems are, and you kind of just, you know, it's almost like you're a willing participant at that point. You know what I mean? Like, if you're invoking these folks, and then it's like you're I guess you're saying you don't agree, but these are the people you listen to the most. These are the opinions that you pretty much only know, or only listen to at the very least. I'm not going to say follow, but listen to at the very least. So these are the only opinions you listen to. And then you say, well, I don't agree with everything. Point taken. No one agrees with everything anyone says. But the fact of the matter is, whenever a point needs to be made, you do reference the opinions of those that you think are the most prominent. So if you're referencing the opinions of people who just want to talk, or people who are just on the reset train forever, then this is why I keep saying, you gotta stop doing that shit. Don't listen to me or any of them other motherfuckers. Make your own decisions, because you can tell, like, these people you can tell these young dudes are being influenced like shit, or else they wouldn't keep invoking the same names.
Yeah, and it's like, if you watch the actual game of football, you don't need to watch SportsCenter. SportsCenter is for people who just want to see the highlights. But if you're being the new SportsCenter to something of a game that you've already watched, you don't need people's opinion about what's going on now. There's no need for the opinion piece. But I understand that they have the curiosity of the actual beginning to end thing. Because right now, like, once you start picking up the questioning of the individual on the panel, he knows that these people do not respect productive black men who've been raised appropriately.
Right.
So on one thing, you have these pro-black conversations about how things are going to end up in the future with the same exact women. Then you get on another panel, act like, well, that's not my point of view. Bullshit is not your point of view. Those are all the type of panels you have. And it's like, don't you dare bring up my actual track record. I think you're being unfair. I'm like, no, we're going to have this bubble in time conversation, and then we're going to turn around and have the younger generation ask you the questions that I'm bringing up. And that's exactly what happened. So I stepped back. He asked them all the questions. He knows that the women are not even trying to be with the men in the environment. But you keep inviting. We talking about the dude who had streams on Weave, talking about like what progressive black man is even talking about stuff like that. No one. And he's trying to act like all this stuff didn't happen. And then he jumped up on there like, well, being dishonest. I'm like, no, you know, dude, the only thing I got to do is go to your channel, go to the actual live stream, and scroll all the way through and look at all the avatars that pop up. None of those people are for what you're actually on here trying to discuss right now. All those people are actually against that.
Right.
So he's trying to make it look, oh man, you'd be so unfair. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be very specific. Like, I feel like I'm being attacked. No, you are. You are. Like, I don't want to make sure that you're actually missing the point of what's happening here. I want you to understand exactly what's going on here. And then you're gonna prove my point tonight by having the same reptiles up, pissing all over the carpet and chewing on the wallpaper. Right after you just came on the live stream doing that shit. It's like, dude, I know in Black America, if you provide comfort, you don't need a credibility or a track record. And what I was just bringing up is simply the track record of the conversation. Well, he was like, well, tell me. I'm like, tonight's going to be an example. Good example.
Right. Yeah. I get what you're saying too, because it's mostly magic panels. I mean, that's pretty much the sole reason why I mean, because I listen to our stuff too sometimes. And one of the reasons I stopped really going over there is because of the magic panels. I can't take conversations with like energy 400, you know, when people say energy like 400 times, I can't do that. But that's just me. I mean, other people, they can relate to it. Sometimes they'll parse it in a different direction. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying that. So that's more of a personal thing. But as far as what you're talking about, completely get it. It's like, I'm going to come over here. And then once I get, you know, in the club, then I'll start indoctrinating real hard. It's very manipulative. I do get it. I see where it's going. And then the track record is magic. So it's not really a good fucking.
You can't tell me what to do. I invite who I want up. I want all the, you know what? I invite diverse. I'm like, dude, listen. Yes, I did go up there because we were discussing substantive things, and then he let his version of, you know, helmet niggas up, and all of a sudden we're not even talking about tangible shit anymore. We're talking about, you know, we're talking to like Corey Holcomb and fucking like Cat Williams and shit, and it's like, all right, man, we're just having a conversation about shit that's substantive, and he knows that, you know, I just had to bring up, you know, you're not even dealing with this domestic counterpart like that. So how the fuck are you not dealing with the domestic counterpart? And the pro-black that you practice within your own house does not comport at all with pro-black within American society. And you're having pro-black level conversations where you invite up all the people in the manosphere who don't want black men to have open choice. Now, how the fuck is all that happening at the same time? And you expect for me not to bring it up? Well,
right.
Like,
right. And the problem with that is, like, so those young dudes, they'll never know that. And then I think one of the problems that I was watching when I was watching y'all talk, it was like a willingness to not even want to acknowledge that, which is how indoctrination works. You just omit the shit that you don't want people to know about you, which track record is a primary part of that, because that lets you know someone's motivations, the things that they do, because what you do, your actions is a track record. Like, what the fuck you say doesn't mean anything. Your actions are actually a track record. So the things that people do, if that's left out, then the people being indoctrinated never see that, and they just think everything is all well and good. And then it's like a, you know, fucking, what was that alien show where they just moved in talking about, hey man, we're here to help. And then later on started eating motherfuckers. So it's just like, it's the same type of thing. It's like, hey man, we're here to help. And then, you know, a few years down the line, you start eating motherfuckers. And And I thought y'all was here to help. Yeah, help us get full. So I do understand that, and that is a problem because that's evidence. It's not like, but you can see it, they can't, and that's what you were trying to point out. And then it got to a point where it was like, well, don't bring this up, and then the co-host was like, well, we don't need to know about all that, and you're like, yes, you actually do, because that's the most important part of it. You actually do, you really do, So it's like it's a willing blind eye, though.
Yeah, and it's like I need blind eye enough so we can keep continuing to have this conversation. And it's like, okay, let's say if you have like somebody up who actually don't have a track record of working with black men, and they just jump up on that panel and just start sounding reasonable. And just for the sake of peace, you have to not bring up the track record of the actual person trying to sound reasonable, even though everything that they're talking about is the opposite of what their actual associations and track record is. So now I become the bad guy versus the actual person who joined the actual conversation. They joined the conversation so that way to shit test you into not bringing up their track record. Yeah. And it's like, dude, listen. And I used to be over there too. It's not a problem. It's like, look, change the association and we'll be cool. But if you keep inviting these people up, then the circumstances are going to be. I don't give a fuck how nice you are. Dude, there's a lot of people who are extremely nice who believe a lot of crazy and evil shit. If you don't believe me, they're called evangelical Christians. Nice and a motherfucker. And they'll smile in your face and tell you that you're not going to heaven. You're going to go to hell. I'm like,
yeah, with a smile on their face.
Yeah, big ass Kool-Aid smile on their face. And it's like, so it's like, so what we're saying is that the younger generations have to be the custodian of the conversation and paying attention to older men who are not helping. Like they think helping is seeing the track record. I'm like, no, they're monetizing the track record because you don't get life. They get life. They're making money off of it. They definitely get this shit. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be the person picking up this tab.
Right. And that's part of the big, because I know the younger generation want to play Kumbaya. So to kill all of that, it's like exclude everybody and make your own fucking decisions, because as soon as you start trying to play Kumbaya, fuck shit wins automatically, because fuck shit loves Kumbaya. Like it thrives off of Kumbaya because it's so easy to get in there when everybody's playing Kumbaya. Like, oh shit, there's an opening.
Yeah, and they don't realize how outnumbered we all are. Period. Right. So when you accept somebody on a one-to-one basis, 99% of the time you're going to get the people who don't belong there.
yeah. If everyone's playing Kumbaya, that means everyone. It means include everyone, and when you include everyone, you include fuck shit by default. And there's way too many fuck shits. Like them motherfuckers outnumber everyone, and then there's a reason for that. Success takes work. Fuck shit hate work. So there's a lot of tangible reasons why fuck shit is always going to be the prevailing aspect. So it's like I said, to kill it all, to nip it in the bud, don't listen to anybody. Just make your own decisions, because again, the second you play Kumbaya, everybody loses. Because
guess what? There are people who need a reset and a restart, and there's people who don't.
Right.
So when you allow that blanket pardon for everyone, don't be shocked if murderers and arsonists are first in line. Don't be shocked about that. Those are people who need to reset more than anybody else.
Yeah, they'll kill niggas to be first in line.
Yes. And they don't mind it. Why? Forgiveness is at stake here.
Right. Oh shit, I'm gonna get this last murder in so I can get so I can skip the line.
Man, bro, like they're forgiving people what time? So let me compile this list, and then I'm just gonna murk people all the way until it's my turn. It's like, why do we have this trail of bodies all the way to the place where you were supposed to be forgiven? It's like
oh man, look, I know I fucked up, but I mean, this is where we get our second chance, though, right?
New page right now, right? Well, it says that you're forgiven, but you kind of.
But look what you did on the way here. I know, but still, right?
Just Martin for the file super chat. Yeah, and it's like this is a problem. I'm like, listen, I'm just telling you clearly. You may need to put us all in the actual space lock and send us all into outer space. I'm willing to go into outer space. They're not.
Right. Shit, I got a suit.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, my thumbs are up. You know, send us through the airlock.
Right.
All of us.
Some motherfuckers got spacesuits on. Just open the airlock and see who dies.
Yes. And if you're not protected, it's not a problem. You see this bubble thing? Throw 2 thumbs up. Button. Get them out of here.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to that where some people are prepared, some are not. You and people say all the time, you can't save everybody. I mean, even the fuck shit side says you can't save everybody. So if that's really the case, open the fucking airlock.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's really the case, because when it comes down to it, everybody agrees on that. That's something that actually is universally agreed upon, that you can't save everybody. So knowing that, I mean, you gotta do it.
Hold on a second. Let me put this Cash App up there. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
How to hit message. All right, yeah, so that's a Cash App if people want to hit it. It's not required, but yeah. It's going on Progressive Brothers Podcast. It's like this. We're trying to save the youth by letting us all go. That's it. Because the number of people to non-people who's actually waiting for you to be the cleanup man, the numbers are too high. These people are trying to prepare their daughters, and they're like, ooh, guys who don't know stuff. My daughter's about to get off the court. And it's like, nah, man, you gotta let us all go. You gotta make all the decisions. And then all of a sudden the conversation become, well, I'm not talking about that. I'm like, you are talking about that, and we're gonna prove it. Okay, why don't you ask them the questions about, are these people being prepared to accept what's currently here? And then out of all the argument that I said, he tried to preempt it by saying, well, I'm not even allowed to talk. I'm like, I'll just mute up. You're the one who said you weren't going to answer the question. So now let me point that out. So now it's time for you to answer the question. And then it came up to, okay, these people aren't being prepared. I'm like, see? Oh, yeah, and it's like, I'm not, I'm pro results. Like what is considered black men has been wiped out by the decision-making process of the mother. And that's very deliberate. I understand why women want to maintain the power that they have. I've always been honest about that. And if you look at it from a power perspective, just take yourself out of it. If you can simply just make bad choices and still retain your power, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, forever and a day.
That? What's wrong with not saying that? So in order for things to get better, men are going to have to exercise choice recently, how women have exercised it over the past 2 generations. Now, that's going to leave a lot of unproductive men out of the actual situation as well, because now you won't have a group of men, not productive in their own status, trying to monopolize what manhood actually means, because it's tied to the actual relevance of a woman in the environment. Now the new standard of masculinity is, I know what the truth is. I'm not going to have these experiences, and I'm going to make better decision making. And they're like, no. I'm like, so you deliberately want these dudes to be the cows in like the actual assembly line, just sitting there with the tag in their ear, going right into the slaughterhouse.
Right.
And they're like, but we're trying to help them. Yes, help them get from a whole cow to be in the boxes. That's exactly what's
right. And really, then it's fucked up, because a lot of this stuff is repackaging of old ideas, which is why we always say reset all the time. Like, this is another repackaging of save the worst niggas.
Yes.
Or save the worst people, because it's both women and men. So it's a repackaging of that same idea. The dudes who failed, okay, I need one more chance. It's like, okay, it's too late in your
else.
life for it to work. Yeah, I know, but I need one more chance.
Yeah. Dudes up here singing the biggie, biggie, give me one more chance shit. Adult
Right.
dudes, like, wait a minute, we had a woman singing this shit. Like, no, man, but I need one more chance. So
Yeah.
I don't really care about what's going on, but I want the community to survive. I'm like, but you wasn't even a standard of what survival even looked like, but you want another chance over these children.
Yes. Yeah. Again, and it's a repackaging of it, saying, so for the minutes, I know I fucked up and I keep fucking up, and I'm gonna fuck up again, but I need one more chance. And then for the chicks, it's, you know, I need one more chance. It's like, yeah, but you can't even have kids, and like you fucked up. I know, but I need one more chance. It's the same thing. It's just repackaging the same fucking argument from. No, not from. It's been going on for like forever. Like it's the same argument repackaged one more time. It's just more refined, because over time the fuck shit keeps getting more refined by people who are actually smart on that side that you know, that are for save the worst people. You know, they refine their argument and come back again and say, okay, let's try it from this angle. Let's try it from this angle. Let's try it from this angle. Because at first it used to be shame. It used to be, you know, because remember at first a long time ago, it was like really bold and obnoxious. You niggas are dishwashers. I'm better than you. Clean up my leftovers, nigga.
That's what the argument was to the younger generation.
Yeah, and remember?
Yes, and it's like, he's one of them. You want to know why? The dudes who are one of them are on his panel. He's not inviting up Robert F. Smith to talk about a motherfucking thing. Not on the all the way. And he does it under the guise of, well, I'll just give everybody a voice. Yeah, that's how you got helmet dudes in here having legitimate based conversations, because once you start allowing people up in conversations that they're not qualified to talk about, they're just going to go with the person that falls in line with the level of non-worry about the issue that they have. So now trolling becomes a legitimate form of actual education when it's not that. And it's like, and then there's no panel moderation, which means everybody has the same rights on the panel. Everybody has the same track record. All points of view are valid when that's not the case.
That was a leftover from the first iteration of the manosphere. So when manosphere first started a long time ago, everybody's arguments have to have merit. That used to be the deciding factor of everything. Merit, ability to research and validate correct information. That was the catalyst. That was the key to any kind of quality control. Your arguments had to have merit. Like, the shit had to be researchable, you know, and it had to make sense. You know, no one cared about bias. If you did have bias, your bias had to have merit. Yes. Everything had to have merit. That was the key, merit. But then over time, it became opinions just for opinion's sake was merit. People getting their shit off was merit enough. And then because everybody want to get their shit off, getting your shit off became like the de facto mode of conversation. So, and then again, this is a product of niggas bailing out of the manosphere in general. This is a byproduct of that, because the manosphere that they call the white manosphere, but it's actually not. The manosphere, it was all about meritorious arguments. So when niggas decided to bail out because of racism and pussy, it became get your shit off. So the get your shit off niggas didn't care about merit. They just cared about how they felt. And bitches do that because bitches care. Their feelings are their reality. So, which is why the laws reflect that, by the way. I'm not just saying that. The legal system reflects that. Bitches' feelings are their reality. This is why Me Too exists. This is why sexual discrimination exists. This is why bitches can take your company by just accusing you of bullshit and get you fired from your own board. So again, the laws reflect what I'm saying. So for people that keep talking about my ass. Anyway, when it became get your shit off time, No more arguments were meritorious, and then it became more of no quality control. People can just hop up on a panel, start talking, and if they sound hood enough or street enough, or their sob story hits motherfuckers in the gut, they win.
Yeah, and so let's talk about this other thing that I was going to do an entire podcast all by itself. I probably still will, but how you can seem relevant by bringing no information to the conversation.
You got a sob story?
No.
Well, that's how you do it.
Yeah, it's just an example of how it is. It's like, okay, let's say you know nothing about a particular subject, and then the other person does. The person hops onto the live stream, and he doesn't have a point of view or any type of factual basis about what's being discussed. So now you're not arguing against an opponent. So now you give the actual definition of what's actually happening inside of the argument. So the other person just says, whatever you just said, I'm against that. So now you're arguing against yourself, even though that person haven't provided a point of view. And since the audience don't know that is what's happening, the person who brings no information to the conversation can just gaslight and interrupt this way through the entire discussion. And especially
and filibuster.
Yes, when there's no panel moderation. They get away with it. I'm like, and most people have created platforms based on that. This is why they have nothing but trolling whenever they come up, because trolling is how they got started.
I can give you a perfect example of what you just said. Right. Remember, I done triggered a lot of people on Bernard's streams and yours. Remember when Bernard had a stream, we were talking about abortion.
Yeah,
and I ran and pulled the stats, a real study, not a survey, a study. And studies are done over a long period of time. Sometimes it takes decades to run them because it takes decades to actually study the psychological effects of human beings, right? So Little Big Nathaniel was talking about how women are psychologically damaged behind abortion. And I was like, no, they're not, because they fought for it. They fought to have it. And once they got it, there has been no record of psychological damage over a period of like 30 to 50 years. So I went and got the actual study, which I had to pay for. I had to pay $30 for that. And he said no, because my personal experience, I've seen women who are psychologically damaged. And then the study was like, well, these clinical psychologists all over the United States have compiled psychological profile after psychological profile of women who have had abortions and miscarriages, and they disagree with you. Real life disagrees with you. Over 30 years of real life disagree. Well, do you have anything more recent? It's like, well, they're probably running a study right now. But yeah, the point of the matter is that everything you're saying, and in fact, because the study was done so early, you think it was even more psychologically damaging the earlier that it was conducted, because the early days is when you, like, let's just say you get the abortion law passed, and then it's the early days of it. You're going to see more psychological damage than now, because now whole culture is a thing. Bailing out of marriages is a thing. Check babies are the thing. Yes. Fucking tax season girlfriends are the things where bitches trade mixed dude sperm for money.
Yeah.
So if there's any psychological damage, it's going to be earlier, not now, because now it's too late. You're not going to see any psychological damage at all now.
Yeah.
So, but his disagreement was simply because I know women that I guess had damage or care, whereas the majority of them don't. So that's the shit you talking about right there.
Yeah. So what we're in those type of situations, like, you don't have the ability to fix these people. Like, you cannot say that there's not an incentivized aspect of what's going on. Now, once you understand the incentive, you can stop asking bullshit questions about how you get over it. It's an incentive. Trust me. If they were to suspend all the laws from bank robbery, and all of a sudden you see all these banks getting knocked off every day, there was a time where it wasn't happening, and now there's a time in the law that changed to where this stuff is happening. And they'll be like, well, what about the people who are bank robbing? They should be psychologically confused about what they're doing. Like, no, there's such thing as a maximum daily withdrawal limit and going to the place with a goddamn firearm and asking for the money. Those are two separate, distinct things. And you can't claim that they're actually psychologically involved when they have to go plan out which bank to go to, what type of firearm to point, and what teller to go up to.
Right.
Like, you can't say that.
Right.
Ridiculous.
And then one of the things, so you know how like those clinical psychologists, they'll use very professional language in order to, express what's actually going on, because they can't. I mean, you're not going to expect professional clinical psychologists to say, "Bitches will abort your baby because they don't want your baby."
Yeah.
So they can't say that. But that's what they said. Like at the end of the day, the study basically showed that the women were aborting kids, babies of dudes that they did not want. Like they didn't want to be with the guy, so they aborted his child.
Yeah. So
his argument was he couldn't stand the thought that a chick would not want his child. Like he had a problem with that. It's on our stream. Look, like I said. The internet records all this shit.
Yeah.
So
so this is the thing. It's like, this is how clinical psychologists talk and versus what the understanding is. Okay. So if somebody told you to move, and instead of they told you to move, they told you, could you please molecularly disperse and reconstitute yourself across the room? They told you that you moved. That's what that means. They're not going to tell you to fucking move. They're just going to use words that you don't recognize.
Right.
And it's like, you have to understand that this shit is deliberate at this point. Like, dude, if you walk into this shit deliberately, that's the problem here. And it's like, thank you. Damn, this is this fucking dude's real name. I just thanks for the $5 super chat and God damn, man, why don't y'all use pseudonyms, man? The Moorish Warrior, thank for the $10 Cash App as well. Thank you. For both of us for that. All right. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the younger generation, rather than responding to these people who are not helping, they're not helping. They don't, because if you ever get to one of these people, it doesn't matter whether it's Umar Jackson or Seven Candles. What's the end goal here? The end goal is to display female nature and destroy these women credibility. Okay, got that. What's the next stage after you already left this shit alone? That's why like the SYSBM and only cultural dating shit matters. But see, you can't do that because you got the lifestyle consultants and the dating coaches who's trying to escort you back into the same marketplace. In the same marketplace where the head guy is destroying the credibility or showing you the track record of
right. That's the crazy thing about it. You're being marketed the same chicks you're shitting on. Like it makes no sense.
Yes. It's like, look, you go to a used car lot and the guy cranks up the car and you hear like a poof and a bang. And the guy turns you to like, doesn't that sound amazing? Wouldn't you like to buy this car that we got to tow across the yard that clearly don't work?
Try to convince you that black exhaust smoke is manly and shit.
Yeah. They call that coal ash, my sir.
Right. Premium. Yo, and real quick, see, the Israelite, I made a distinct difference between a survey and a study. Studies are conducted over years with thousands of participants. Over years. Some of them take decades. Again, the abortion study took decades with thousands of women. Yeah. So a survey is walking into a building and having people anonymously fill out a multiple choice questionnaire.
Point in time.
Then say what?
Point in time. It's basically what a voter actual what do they call that shit? Numbers are. What opinion research surveys. Right. Moment in time, you don't track the people because like the study tracked the same people over a number of years. This is why it takes a long time to complete. But for people who want immediate solutions, they start to look at these surveys. Like survey says, I'm like, Yeah. Have you ever
Right.
seen the show? Survey says on family, whatever that is. And yeah, you get an immediate answer. But see, people
Right.
wait a long time for actual stuff over time.
Right. And these are medical records as well. I mean, and not only are these medical records, these are thousands of women over a period of like 30 years being monitored and tracked, and they got to go to therapy. All of this stuff over a fucking 3-decade period, thousands of women. And against the anecdotal evidence that is purely anecdotal, you can't even check it. But we're supposed to take one person's word for it because he knows a couple of chicks or one or two chicks that I guess maybe had a problem with. That makes no sense. So not agreeing with the abortion thing. Okay, that's fine. But that's when you have the whole disconnect from reality. That's when your bias takes over. That's when it starts to get personal. And that's when you start to not care about facts over fiction. And that's where a lot of manosphere shit is, where dudes are just basically like, fuck that, I believe this, I don't care. And this is why dudes keep having the same issues and keep listening to the same people who, when they get their whole card pulled, not only do the content creators act like it never happens, but so does their audience.
Yeah.
So does their audience.
So Tassie, thank you for your super chat. Allow me to introduce you to, man, I don't even want to say that name, man, because, all of a sudden I start getting these 100-channel, BWs and shit, and I can't even clean the shit out of my own personal algorithm. But yeah, I heard of the person. $5 super chat, great discussion, cognitive distance. But yeah, and it's like, and it's so hard because these people get all of the actual acknowledgement because there's no significant time investment to being that type of person who joined discussions. None whatsoever. So now you have to pair them up with people who've actually had time to actually look at this stuff. And it's the same process. The same process can work with every single conversation. Dude, you can invite Neil deGrasse Tyson up and you could bring up one of these helmet dudes and you would have an exact conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson arguing against himself and the other person don't even know what astrophysicist is.
Yeah, and the biggest problem is they don't understand the mathematics behind it, and that's really the biggest problem. It's the mathematics. So it's like, this is why, that's another reason why I stopped talking to religious folks about physics and science, because one of the first things I found is that they don't know the math behind it at all, and that is literally the only. That's the primary critical piece of even having a discussion. So if people don't know the mathematics, then you literally can't have the conversation. I used to argue with people about this shit. I mean, me and you used to take part in this conversation, so you already seen it. Yeah, but so without the mathematics, it's impossible. So it's the same thing with a lot of these conversations that happen now. Like when we talk about male-female relationship dynamics, there's a legal aspect to it, which is basically like mathematics. If you don't have any legal power and legal protection, that's just like the mathematics. And when people ignore that, that's when we get all of this shit that happens with these conversations of people wanting their confirmation bias, confirmed, or they want to have anecdotal conversations all day. Because when you listen to people have anecdotal conversations all day, when they're having like magic panels and shit, somebody will come in with their anecdote of what happened in their life, and then somebody else will come get their shit off. Somebody else come get their shit off. Then they start nodding in agreement, start tugging on each other's virtual dicks, and then everything's peaceful. And then somebody at the end will be like, "Oh, good Bill, man. This was a great conversation. Nobody spazzed out." Yeah, because nobody said anything real. So you niggas was all engaging in imaginary porn. So that's, of course, you're not gonna have any disagreements. No one's saying shit. So that's what's going on. Like, nobody cares about the mathematics behind any conversation that they have, and that's why these shits keep getting reset all the time, because no one wants to have any real information dispensed to them. It works their brain over. They can't even fucking take it. As soon as you bring math to somebody, they lose their shit. It's just like when I know a lot of y'all familiar. So I know a lot of y'all was over at Ramil's last year when we had that conversation about marriage laws. It was me, MOT, Judge Zilla, Ark, Ramil, a bunch of other people on the panel. We broke down the marriage law, legal, like go read the legal statutes for every state and federal, all that shit. Broke it down, and niggas almost lost their mind. A nigga almost cried on the panel. Nigga said, "What are we supposed to do?" He cried. Y'all understand how powerful that is?
Married, and he was already married, and he didn't already like we were giving him not a post hoc explanation, but we was giving him the facts of the situation that he was in. But he was trying to find a way to make it a post hoc rationalization because you guys are just being negative. We're like, no, we're not. No. This is actually where you're at. And he was like, and then you know you can see.
Lost it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can see the hamster jump off the wheel and the wheel's still turning.
That nigga lost his mind.
Oh man, yeah, man. And it's like,
but that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. You have people who are actually like the wolf is not supposed to throw away chickens who go on a wolf hunting expedition as a singular individual with no superpowers. That's what these dudes are doing. They're getting just enough information to go fail, just so that way they don't have to be responsible for making it in society at this point. That's where we're at right now. So what we're trying to do is stop these people from going to other environments and looking reasonable when the actual undertone of what they're doing is not reasonable at all. It's very specific. It's very specific. And that's what people don't get. So now when you bring up factual information, it becomes about tone. It becomes about accusatory. I'm like, yes, I'm being accusatory because this is exactly what's happening here. You're actually bringing this stuff to a new platform. You already have all those people up there who don't give a damn about progress. Now you can't, and then he had personal situation that says that he did it differently, but you're marketing for something of the opposite of what you're doing. And it's like, ugh. Like if you were inviting up people from the actual culture with the actual results, like there was no Robert F. Smith conversations. There was, and then all of a sudden it had to be balanced out by all these reptiles coming up there and shit. And it's like, oh, well, you know, you just got to talk to it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to. Well, you're just being an extremist. Yes, extremists get shit done. They get exactly what they want.
Right. Yeah. And just to address this real quick. So typical AV. Okay. So did you know that there's actually mathematics for spiritual and love shit? Like if you actually look at it, if you got a whiteboard, I could mathematically do all types of shit. You can create algorithms for love right now. All you got to do is create variables for different things like feelings, archetypes, and stuff like that. And you can on the right side you can put your result. On the left side you put your result, and on the right side you put your variables, and boom, there you go. There's actually an entire mathematics division dedicated to trying to mathematically figure out what love is and what the spirit is. So you're wrong on that. I was raised as a religious person, just like MOT. So thing is, I read all the magic books, and I read the math books too. The thing is, you read the magic books but didn't read the math books. There's a difference between us.
Yeah, and it's like they act like you don't like. No, I can teach a college course on religion. I know, I read it, and it's like, you know, they're in the situation that I'm in. Yeah, all these random Bible quotes. I'm like, well, that's not what happened. That's not the context. It has nothing to do with the dude in the coma. Just shut the fuck up. Why are you being so negative? It's like, but I have to stop religious encroachment in a position where it don't belong. That's being negative. But why I have to shut the fuck up? Just
right.
You're
right. all I'm saying is I'm not gonna assume anything about y'all. Just don't assume anything about me. Don't assume that I haven't read the magic books. I have. I was raised on them.
Yes.
I read both. So if you don't make assumptions on me, I won't make assumptions on you. That's how that works.
But see, we can't really, with some people, you can't meet in the middle because being disingenuous is part of the actual playbook, especially when it comes to protecting something. You see, I don't have to do that. They will resort to that in a heartbeat. And it's like, you can't really have those types of conversations when that's the actual key, is not moving forward. The key is you have to submit to what they're doing. in order for this to go forward. And my shit like, what about freedom? That's like, sure, you got tons of freedom. You just have to do it our way, but you got tons of freedom. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's just where we are with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link so that way we can see who comes up and what direction it's going to go. But that's all I'm talking about at the point in time. It's just that the younger generation already have all these answers to the questions. But paying attention to the actual people under the guise of entertainment, nah, man, you can't bullshit yourself with the entertainment faction.
I know, right? And they keep saying that, oh, I just watch it for fun. And it's like, yeah, but every time you say that and you get into a serious conversation, what's the first thing you reference?
Those niggas. And it's like, dude, if you continue to watch, you obviously don't get it. You don't. Because when you leave it up in the air, you leave room for all these unreasonable people to just bring their ass up here and try to reset the conversation. You know, they're just little saboteurs. You know, if you don't pay attention to them, if you don't put a tracker on these dudes, they'll just start showing up in other places where everybody has to be equal and fun and fair to each other. And how dare you bring up my track record? That's what it is. It's crazy. What's going on, Vision?
How you doing, gentlemen? How's everything going today?
We're going all right, man.
All right. Hey, Zero, I want to say something to you. And this to you as well, MOT. You guys have heard of the term "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," right?
Yeah, I seen that comment in there. Could you actually tell me what?
Yeah, basically.
Vision. Hold on. Let me ask the question. Yeah. All right. So we need to know how much of this water that you don't consider baby. Because there's baby and then there's liquid that's leaving the bathwater. So we have to make sure that we're talking about babies in bathwater, not like partial babies in bathwater.
It was just an allegory, but what I meant by that is there's good information. What I was addressing to is when Zero said, and I want him to clarify this, when he said that Gen Z basically should not listen to the older generations, right? And I kind of somewhat disagree because I think that Gen X has a lot of good information. It's just that we're allowing the bad aspects of our generation to teach and pass on information, where you have a lot of Gen X people like yourself, like Ike, like Zero, who are even Thai City, who are dispensing important information that was never shared in the mainstream media in our generation. I'm sorry, like this wasn't being shown on mainstream platforms. So basically, the Gen Z generation has the advantage of learning this information that they should have learned. The Gen Z, they have the advantage of learning this information, which should have been taught in the educational system, which should have been taught by their parents, which should have been taught within the society, within their culture, or wherever they were from. But it wasn't. So that's the advantage that they have. Because I'm sure that this conversation has been going on for a long time, but not in such an open forum as the internet.
Correct.
That's happening here.
Correct. And that's right? The problem. Since most of these people haven't been raised with the mother-father family dynamic, even if they was raised in the mother-father family dynamic, the actual open conversation about mother-father family dynamic, history, and track record isn't going on within that household like it's freely going on online right here, right now. And that's kind of what the problem is. Like you can still have a two-parent household, but if your dad was easily being pushed around and pushed into a corner and cucked out, you're not going to come out any better than somebody who had a single-parent household. Clearly.
Exactly.
Right. So my point was basically, I said don't listen to either of don't listen to anybody because you already have the information. It doesn't matter if I'm right, if MOT's right, or if anybody's right or wrong. Since you already have the information and you have clear examples in front of you, there's more information than there's ever been. The generations are now raised on information overload. So because of that, you already have the examples, and also they're talking about this stuff at a much earlier age than we were.
Exactly.
In the 20s, I was fucking off.
Exactly.
These kids in their 20s, they not only can they fuck off, but they also have all the information at the same time.
Yeah.
My generation, I just want to say, generation, it was like, go jump in the water with the sharks And then if you get, then it's like, oh, no. They tell you, no, you're not going to get bit if you do it this way. You do it their way, you get bit anyway. And they say, you didn't do it my way, the way I told you to do it. And you yes, I did. No, you didn't. You didn't have enough. Or they'll just say, well, you're not me. You get what I'm saying? Like, you jumped in there with the sharks because the older people told you to. And then they tell you either you didn't do it how I told you to, but if you did do it the way they told you to, then they default to, well, you're not me. You can't do it because you're not me. So that's the problem. You cannot listen. Just basically cut off the older people because you already have their information. You have their information, their examples. In fact, you have 3 generations in front of you. You have 3 generations of evidence in front of you. So you don't need to listen. You don't. All you got to do is make let's just say you make mistakes. At least those mistakes are new. Those are new mistakes. Brand new mistakes. This way you don't make the same fucking mistakes over and over and over. The boomers, Gen X, and millennials have all made the same fucking mistakes, and each generation blames the previous generation. Each one. So that's the problem. You can't just fucking cut it out. Just cut it out. Make your own mistakes. Make new mistakes, or make new decisions that might yield different results. But don't make the same ones, because you make the same ones, you're just gonna fuck up all over again, and then blame somebody else for the results.
Let me say this, Zero, right? Like as Generation X, we are messed up here. Like in this space, it's very tricky because you have so many successful like men in this space that it kind of skews what's really out in the environment. Like Gen X is completely decimated right now with child support, divorce, rape, you name it, man. Jail, all kinds of things, especially within the Black community. But basically, like, wait, go ahead.
All those are choices. So
fair,
let me go.
Fair enough.
Wait, hold on, man. Let me go to brother R. Damn, man, I can't. ADRI. Sorry.
I'll help you out, MOT. Brother Audrey, this is Israelite.
All right, go on, son. All right, man. Go on.
Yeah. I just want to kind of speak my piece because I think some things are a little misrepresented. First, I've never said that yourself and Zero have never read the Bible. So if other people,
we're past that. We're talking to other people, not just you. We're talking to other people.
I get it, but I mean, well, maybe we could have this on a different stream. But it's just I don't like when people misrepresent things about myself and other people, because I'm not stupid. I understand math. I understand something. There's actually Christian scientists that disagree with scientists who are atheists. So don't make it seem like that within the scientific and academia field that everyone agrees. Just like all Christians don't agree, all Muslims don't agree, all scientists don't agree on everything. So
never
you can't
said
present
that.
this.
Never said that. Never
like it's a united front of facts, and it's not.
Never said that. Never assumed that. Physicists disagree on all types of shit. They disagree on unifying theories. They disagree on
and
a lot of things.
Only a theory.
A theory is only a theory, but they disagree on a lot of things. They even disagree on mathematical constructs that can even be proven. So the thing is, that doesn't matter. What you were typing in the chat, like for instance, when you said the mathematics on spirit and stuff like that, that already exists.
Well, but
when you type stuff like that, it's under the assumption that I'm not aware of it, or maybe you're not and just don't know that it's out there. Who knows? But when you type that, if you type it, then that means that either you didn't see it, or you're assuming I don't know, or you don't know. It's one of those three, or else you don't type it.
Well, no, I said a spirit, said like an angel, or what people call a demon. Then you started talking about feelings and emotions. I don't believe that emotions and feelings are a spirit. That's all physical. That's carnal. I'm talking about a spiritual, supernatural world. So when there
wasn't an argument on our topic.
Yeah, but I said, show me an algorithm for a spirit. He started to talk about feelings and emotions. That's not a spirit. That's a person.
But listen, so what we're talking about on that specific instance is that there are already mathematical equations with certain inputs equal certain outputs. That's why we say that there's already an actual equation for that already. Not that it doesn't exist.
Right.
It does exist. It's just that in order to get to a specific definition or destination, you need specific levels of inputs in order to get to that. And we can know what those things are because they can measure that. Like once it becomes measured, then you can actually give a result for what's measured.
Well, I have the chat replay. The exact text was at 3:03 p.m. You said typically atheists, believers don't understand math and science, yet there are no algorithms for the spiritual world.
Exactly. But I'm saying that emotions are not a spirit.
No. I brought up the fact that there is algorithms for the spiritual world. Things like the spirit, which the spiritual world, love, things like that. Those are feelings.
But stop. But how is love a spirit?
No. Part of the spiritual world would be things like love.
But that's where we disagree. I would not tell you that love is of the spiritual world.
You're going semantic for no reason. I don't know what you're doing right now. You're going semantic for no reason. Things like love are part of the spiritual world and can be variables to include in that. Basically, there is math that describes the spiritual world. There is. All you gotta do is look it up.
Well, Christians maybe believe that, but we don't believe that.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter because we don't believe the same thing that Christians believe.
Your comment said that there are no.
But if a person has love and a person is flesh, how could that be spiritual?
I'm trying to.
Here's the thing. Well, this is what the contention is. There's already something for something that you're talking about. You don't believe it. That's it. You don't believe it, so therefore it don't exist.
But MOT, this is my issue. I know what Christians may say, but I'm not a Christian. So you can't.
I know.
It's not about Christian.
Can I finish, MOT? Can I finish? We have a different.
No, this isn't what this is about. Zero and I know that there's an equation for this. Some Christians accept it, some don't. You definitely don't. That's all it is.
But right, you asked for the fact that.
But you started talking about love and feelings and emotions.
Those are again.
Even animals can have emotions. How is that spiritual?
Right. Okay,
these are physical.
Let me
beings.
Let me just rephrase. Love would be a factor of the spiritual world. You said algorithm describing,
and I would disagree with.
Okay,
actually,
you're not even letting me finish.
Actually deeds and emotions and actions.
Algorithm. You said algorithm describing
zero.
I just want to clarify because these are his words. Algorithm describing algorithm.
You probably just want to say one more thing.
Okay, all right.
Algorithm.
Say one more thing. Say one more thing.
Ultimately, I think what the issue is, you all are prescribing biblical concepts that we do not, but because we believe something completely different as Christians. You can't take the Bible and say, well, this is what you believe, and that's not what we believe. That's what Christians believe, but we're not Christians.
Oh my God.
So
nobody was making a separate argument.
But nobody was making that argument at all. Actions, they're not feelings.
Hold on. So here's the thing.
So it's not the spiritual world, it's physical.
Here's the thing. So we were talking about every group outside of yours. You were talking about your group specifically.
Right.
That's all it was.
Not only that, he's not letting me fucking finish what I'm saying. Because again, this is when people don't understand fucking math, and the only way to do it is to interrupt filibusters.
Okay, but you're taking it back to math.
You're not listening.
But we have two different definitions of love.
No.
That's my point. And we have two different definitions of the spiritual world.
You said algorithm describing the spirit world.
And love is not of the spiritual world.
It is a factor. It would be in.
No, it's not even a factor.
Just
it's
like
physical. I'm telling you, it's physical. I'm trying to make it spiritual.
Listen, man, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Never mind.
Hey, man, I don't want to kick you off, but we need to get back to the topic. Now, do you have something on the topic? We can talk about that. All the religious back and forth stuff, we're not going to be able to end that because you have to. Yeah. So now, do you have something on the topic now?
Well, the problem is,
no, I mean
they want to argue, but then they don't want to fucking listen to anything. It's just I said that, interrupt filibuster. Fuck what you're talking about. So if it's fuck what you're talking about, then you're not even having a conversation. You don't even care. Then what you're talking about don't mean shit.
Yeah, but here's the problem, man. It's at the end of the day when you can't reason with a closed mind. You can't. because things exist outside of his religious understanding, which is what we're talking about. I don't even know what his religious understanding is because I don't know what Hebrew Israelites even think. I don't even know that. I mean, so this actual idea and what he believes is to take only what he says is right and everything else is wrong. I don't know if there's a counter argument against that. There is no counter argument against that. Literally, there's no counter argument against that. So there's really no reason to argue.
Right, because you can't argue feelings.
Correct. Well, religious.
No, you can't debate feelings on any level.
No, I mean, he left. I took him down. I tried to reset the conversation. Like, okay, now that we're off the religious stuff, I told him his religion believes what they believe. There's not scientific consensus. There are also Christian scientists. There were also scientists who said that cigarettes didn't cause cancer. They got scientists that say climate change isn't real. Those people are in a very minority for a reason, and there's no scientific consensus even amongst that, especially when you have a particular end goal that you're trying to argue against versus the actual scientific data. Like, that's why he was like, fuck the data points, throw all that out the window. We don't believe that. Okay.
Right. And real quick before you move on, the biggest problem is what I say this all the time. One side is willing to accept the conversation, the argument from both sides. One side is willing to do that, and the other side is not. And this is the biggest problem with a lot of the conversations that's being had, even if it's not religious, even if it's just some basic male-female relationship dynamic shit. One side is willing to argue. One side is willing to have the conversation in its totality and let you get your points and your thoughts out in a clear way. And then the other side is like, fuck that shit. I don't care what you're talking about. That is a problem. The one side is always, my feelings are correct no matter what. And the other side is, okay, let's see what the evidence bears out. This is the problem. This is a major problem. I don't give a fuck what the conversation is. All y'all can see this for yourself. All of y'all can test this for yourself. This is testable. Next time you have a conversation with anyone, manosphere or not, one side is willing to have the conversation and one side is not. One side is, I believe this, fuck you. Another side is, well, let's see what is more evidence-based. Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. So, all right.
Can I go next?
Wait, hold on. So let's get the conversation back on track first. All right, yeah. So previous to that, it's like this: the younger generation has to throw it all out because the older generation is gonna want to come back and try to draw you into what's reasonable, because dealing with this stuff to them is still reasonable at this point. Now they know that the actual outcome of the men that's currently being created, given that there's a two-parent household, given that there's a specific type of output, most of the uncultured women inside of the environment is not going to respect that because they're here to consume those type of men. They're not here to work with those type of men. They have a different social contract at hand. Email me at MOG. No, nothing happened. No, move forward. Nothing happened. So that's what we're talking about here. So go ahead, Vision.
So yeah, MOT on zero. Basically, like as a Gen X, right? As a Gen Xer, I never realized personally how destructive our system was until I found this space and I started listening to talking points, especially from you and Zero and the Black Brain Trust. Like, we have been decimated, almost like how Omni-Man beat up Invincible. We have been decimated as a generation. We are done, right? And the Gen Zs are able to see the results of what's been done to us and what we allowed to be done to us as well. We have to take responsibility, and they have that advantage now. And unfortunately, you do listen. When the mainstream was up, you escape the narrative of this white Jesus Christ character on your wall, right? I'm not shooting shots, and all of a sudden the black woman is God. So if you're not careful, a whole nother narrative will be taught up here. You'll have the pro-blacks, you'll have this, you'll have that, teaching bullshit information, teaching magic theory. So we do need people in the space to keep the counterbalance, to counterbalance the bullshit that's being propagated out here through mainstream and non-mainstream. You're not going to save everybody, but the message has to be out here. And Gen Zs are in here learning from us. Now, I agree we should not be going to their spaces and having a conversation. Let them figure it out. But when you raise a child as a man, the child has, before he reach adulthood and how to make right decision, somebody has to teach him to get to that level of how to become a man. And we have a lot of lost men out here. Yes, we're not going to save them all, but you know what? You can save some, and that's the narrative has to continue. And there's a lot they can learn from this Gen X zero is what I'm saying. But the information is out there for them now to make the proper decision.
So what we're only saying is that if you legitimize all points of view and you bring them to the table as if they don't have track records, the people who want to poison more win more. That's all it is. Like, that's why they want men like me to stop talking, to go away. Because if men like me stop talking, the guys like that become the primary voice of the people who are actually listening. So they write off bullshit as actual entertainment when it's actually a practice level of outcome that they're actually going to be doing at some point. So it's just that the reason why is because I have done it in the ramification of leaving this stuff alone and thinking quite rationally about the situation. I don't try to BS myself about the situation at hand. That's the problem here. I got the information through experience in a nonlinear fashion that doesn't happen with most people. Because I could have easily been stationed back in like Keesler, Mississippi in the Air Force, and I would have had a better understanding from the actual Dallas and actual San Antonio aspect. And then I will be back down in Mississippi at Keesler Air Force Base, not having the experience of going overseas. So it was the situation that I got in very early, and especially around enough failures throughout the entire process, from 20s to everywhere else. That's actually a problem. What's going on, Lawrence?
One last thing, or should Lawrence go?
You can go, Vision.
I just want to say this, for all those who will put the information out, the positive information, that it's a great thing you've done. Leave the information out there, and if somebody has the information and makes the wrong decisions, then that's on them. No excuses, but our generations didn't have that advantage. We were being taught the wrong information from the beginning, so we have to keep this positive information. And basically, those of us who don't have anything to add, we need to get out of the way of those who are trying to help. Let them get the information out there. You go get the information, you apply it. If you make the wrong decisions after what has been said, that's on you. Kind of like what Ty City says, once you get with that woman, everything is your fault. These are important narratives. Everyone has an important point to add to the space, and it's important. As small as it is, it's needed, and I just have to keep pushing that.
Okay, so let me answer that for a second. What you're saying is completely right. However, there's people coming to the conversation acting like they don't understand the results of the environment itself. So when the good people leave, the bad people spread the message. And then it becomes an argument in, well, who's right? Like, no, the actual outcome and the results are right, which means the income or the inputs leading to a specific outcome, whether it's pro-black or not, none of that shit matters. Because now you have to exercise a level of protective choice like they acted in a level of non-protective choice. So better equipped, more productive men will actually remove the power from those women who consume the men. Now, nobody wants to come out and say that. This is why there's all these narratives of tying your actual masculinity to a woman's opinion. These actual people who are pro-black know that if people keep doing that, that ties to their actual outcome of trying to get people to fix their mistakes. And my side is the other way. So if you come to the table and don't nobody say that up front, everybody seems reasonable, and then everybody can make the choices how they're supposed to make it. But you have to set the argument up to where they know both sides. And so whether the young generation can ask both sides of the question, what is the actual end result and outcome of this? Are these people being created to respect this? Because in other functional societies, there's an actual social contract. The only social contract here is use and abuse productive men. And they can't produce legitimately. This is why they need these people to be in these types of situations. So go ahead, Lawrence.
Shalom, gentlemen, and shalom to everybody in the chat. I'm not going to stay. I just wanted to say real quick that what you guys saw earlier, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. We're not all like that. The vast majority of us are not like that. That's all I got. Thanks for having me, MOT. going back in my hole now.
All right.
Lawrence, we know we know that. Like, so we in Minnesota we have a lot of them. We have a lot of Hebrew Israelites.
In
So a lot of
Minnesota?
them, yeah, because we have a lot of immigrants that are actually Hebrew Israelites. Our immigrant population is very, very large. I'll just say that. So we also have like entire Jewish communities, complete with their own like policing and everything. I mean, they have their own schools and shit. So, I mean, it's not like I'm not familiar with it. It's just, I get what Lawrence is saying. He shouldn't have to defend that. I mean, and the guy that came up, I mean, it's not like he's not wrong with what he's saying. All I was doing was going off of his comment, which he tried to change, and he's trying to misconstrue what I was saying as to be something else. Like, basically, like what did dude do earlier when he on Ramil's stream when he tried to change the definition of prostitution? So it's the same thing he said with love, when he tried to say love is strictly an emotion and stuff like that. No, it's not strictly an emotion. Just like how some things have two meanings or three meanings, it's the same way with that. It can be an emotion. It can be an entity. It can be both. You get what I'm saying? So when you have variables and factors, like for instance, if you were to describe something spiritual, and you wanted to describe a particular facet of something that is spiritual, or you wanted to describe spirituality, you would use factors, and sometimes in some events, depending on what you're describing, love would be one, because it is both an emotion and an entity onto itself. So again, it's stuff like that. If you're having a conversation and people are unwilling to understand those types of nuances and then assume that you don't or whatever, it's just like you said, it's more of closed-mindedness. It has nothing to do with me not understanding or him not understanding. It's more of like, we both may understand the same things, and then there's an assumption that I don't, or an assumption that I don't understand or know. And that's the problem. That's another problem with having conversations with people. There's always an assumption that you either don't know, don't care, or whatever the fuck it is. It's an assumption logic. It will break any type of conversation you're trying to have. So that's what I'm getting to with that.
Hey, Zero, can I say this? I just want to add to what you're saying, like what your message has been. And correct me if I'm wrong. For those of us who don't walk away, don't worry, you're gonna get walked out, and you're gonna get walked out with nothing left. The environment is finished. If you don't listen to the right people, you're done out here, and you're gonna be decimated. You're gonna have nothing, and that's all I gotta say, man. For those of us who don't walk away, you're gonna get walked out. And yep, that 80-20 rule is in effect, man, and that's the way it is. They have all the power, and they're making all the decisions.
All right, so anyway, back to main topic. My bad, MOT. So again, with the younger generation, what we're trying to say is, you have to at some point, you have to exclude, because again, once you try to play the kumbaya game and do this inclusionary thing with everyone, you're gonna lose. I mean, you have your real life examples are all around you. You already see how outnumbered things like common sense and logic are. You already see how outnumbered it is for even things that work. Like, for instance, a functioning society going from functional to non-functional over the pussy chase is an example of this. Right. And yet men are still participating in it, because there's a bunch of failed generations before you teaching you to participate in it.
While the people who claim to be pro-black are not even trying to educate you past it.
Exactly. Yeah, that too. Think about that.
Watch you do it. Yes. Like it's not like they don't understand what's happening. It's just that what's happening in the environment fits in with their end goal, regardless of who it actually destroys. And I'm just saying that a lot of these people's productivity, had they not connected it to this bad system, would be theirs. A lot of these people would be able to clearly invest within themselves, make the mistakes, form companies, all this other stuff. It's just like when Bill Burr said that some of the funniest dudes you ever know are working at Home Depot, who don't even have enough time to even work on their dreams because they're forced to produce right away, or else they got the child support man on their back ready to throw their ass in jail. But if they knew all this information and actually acted upon knowing the information, because those are two different things, up front, there's really no real reason to have this conversation past this point anymore. And a lot of people are like, well, we can have this conversation, but I need to put my slant on it. I'm like, no, you don't need to put your slant on World War II. The events happened. The shit's over. Okay? We know what happened. The only reason there is to learn the lessons of what happened there. And how you not learn the lessons is responding to the same shit over and over again. Okay, they created the standard called female nature. Then they invite the women onto a panel to actually describe her female nature. Over and over again. What do you get? The people who have abused themselves, and the moment you hit that third rail with some of these women, because they're always this one, they immediately tell you, like, back in your place. This is the type of power that I have. Then all of a sudden, we're talking about something else. As soon as they say, then what are you going to do about it? Yeah, they pull the card right away, then all of a sudden we're talking about somebody else.
And there's multiple examples of it. And again, it's either, I mean, again, the content creators themselves, they instantly get a mental block. But again, the audience also gets a mental block. Shit is funny. It's funny to watch because the audience acts like they never saw it. And then if you remind them and point them to it, you know, look, at some point, this is a choice. These are choices. So I agree. Don't go over to the young people's channels trying to get them to do the same shit.
Yeah.
Leave them niggas alone.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. Like, and I had to specifically do it at that point. It's because I knew what was happening. So I needed to explain the track record that they thought was so derailed and off. Like, no, this shit all connects to, you're going to start asking this dude realistic questions rather than just, you guys need to play nice questions. Man, fuck playing nice. This dude is here for a very specific reason. And if you look at the panels and the topics and the people that led up, it's pretty obvious he ain't here for the younger generation. It's not the case. It doesn't matter. At this point, you got to stop this poison from really spreading. And it's like, look, you cannot throw this younger generations away with dealing with its domestic counterpart. These older people are not even messing with the domestic counterpart like that. And most of them haven't even settled with a woman, or they've been screwed over by one. And we're talking about 2 generations ago when they wasn't so brazen about what they were going to do to you. Now they are brazen as hell about what they're going to do. Now they can tell the whole world in a click about what they're going to do to you. And then and shout out to them. They go for it and actually do it on command. Right. But you have generations of people who are trying to create this gateway of it's okay to surrender. It's like, nah, it's not. It's like you just got to make better decisions itself. And this is why the actual conversation needs to be in the younger people's hands, period. But you also have to protect the actual conversation from these infiltrators with actual, obvious resolutions that don't fit the young people's narrative. Because the older people want you to deal with the old problems. If the older people across the board wanted you to deal with new people, then there would be no need for argument within this space. But that's clearly not the track record of Black Manosphere.
And look at what they don't talk to you about. Like, for instance, you got the most successful people that the younger people look up to getting shitted on and pushed back into the same market to compete with you. Yeah. You got celebrity niggas jumping in and yanking up all the prospects that you even consider or think about. Like these niggas is getting pushed back into the market. The most successful motherfuckers with all the money and all the fame and all of the glory, the most quote unquote alpha niggas in society, they getting pushed out to come compete for the same bitches that you trying to get to. Like that should speak to y'all generation. Like at some point, some of this shit got to start clicking. When them niggas is losing, When them niggas is losing, like the people that you aspire to, like the lifestyle that you aspire
Money
to
and
get
status
to.
dudes are down here messing with regular people.
Exactly. The fucking aspiration niggas is getting pushed out. So if them niggas starving, you got to wake up at some point. And again, the people that are trying to sneak in and infiltrate, they're not talking to y'all about that. They're not telling y'all about that. They don't give a fuck.
No, they don't even care.
They acting like it's not even happening.
Yep. And the moment that you realize that the stuff's real, the moment you start figuring out these consequences, and then by the time you start figuring out the consequences, they say, well, guess what? You never should have played in the first place. That's what
or you should have did it this way, or you're not me.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, man. And it's intentional. They intentionally withhold that type of info. This is another reason why I'm saying, like, you don't have to listen to anybody, because all you got to do is look at the evidence. All you got to do is look. Just look at the evidence. Boom.
There are outcomes. There are outcomes that you see. You see some of these people relationships playing out online where they're getting clowned by the same women that they claim that they were running. Right here online, right here in the space. And it's like, people don't get that that's not a standard of masculinity. The new standard of masculinity is leaving this stuff alone and keeping your damn resources. And only dealing with people who've been socialized and raised to respect what you bring to the table. You're not supposed to come to the table with everything and then try to, bullfight your way through this damn marketplace. It don't work like that. I mean, bullfighting is great when it's one person versus the actual bull. But if you have 7 bulls running at you and you can only look in one direction, it's just going to get popped.
Right.
That's why it doesn't make sense to be through all this stuff in society. It doesn't make any sense.
And plus, they come up with the answers when they talking anyway. What's the first thing people say? Oh, man, well, shit, she for the streets, which is an analog for leave them alone. That's an analog for walk away. All types of shit all of these analogs for walk away. But then even when the women say, well, don't fuck with those chicks, then dudes go, but then the butts start. So again, you're looking at all of this evidence, you're seeing this shit every day. You don't even got to take our word for it. Y'all actually seeing this every day. Y'all seeing the actions and everything, and it's like it's not registering. Y'all see, like, even the women are saying, stop fucking with us.
Yeah.
Even they're telling you to stop fucking with them.
Yeah.
And niggas is like, no. It's like, no. That's why, like, this is why it's so important for the younger people to stop listening to older people, because when the women are telling you to just leave them fuck alone, and then the older dudes are telling you, no, go get the bitch anyway, bro. Like, you can't listen to this. You can't listen to niggas like that. You gotta walk off.
I mean, especially when you see people who have, because first it was a resources argument. We did all this stuff because you didn't have enough resources. Okay, what about the Bill Gates' case? Did he not have enough resources and he lost? So it's like, what are you going to gain at 60-some years old going through that process other than a payout? So it's like, at some point,
you didn't know that bitches could ride the carousel till they die?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Like this is what these dudes are figuring out. Yeah, I could totally see her being part of the club, going to Africa and all that. Yes. Actually, I had a homegirl who just got divorced 2 days ago, trying with help on how to get on the carousel. Like, I don't give out bullshit information like that. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
How do I fuck the entire city? Like, why would I help you with such a mission? But
right? that's the thing though. Like, motherfuckers don't understand it. Like, this is a thing. They can do it till they die, and that's just what it is. And no one's understanding that. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and that's what people just don't understand here. Like, we're literally trying to stop a problem, but if you keep going after the people that you think are helping you, that's not it either. It's like, we're just trying, dude. And at some point, You got to stop exhibiting the actual behaviors because it's popular. Yeah, man. No. Dude, once you tie your shit to productivity outside of this entertainment shit, because I don't think entertainment is productivity. I think it's bullshit based. But at the end of the day, man, you got to stop thinking that you're going to get past this shit. All the people who claiming that they're good at this shit, they have to do this shit multiple times, right? So no one is clearly winning at this. And a lot of these people have mortgaged their actual masculinity by just putting their hands in their ears and just running into the burning house, even though there's a countdown to an explosion that they can see and I can see. But they just want to go look anyway. So what I'm saying is, like, there is no red pill. There is no, once you learn the truth, if you're trying to turn this shit into purple, and there ain't no hope for you. None. It doesn't matter if they got PUA 2.0, 3.0, dudes trying to tell you how to eat right and do all this shit. If at the end of the day, you're trying to turn this shit back over to them, you're merely putting on first down when you're on first and goal at the one. Makes no sense. Hold on a second. Smurgo. I don't think I had you up here before. Smurgo. All right, go ahead, Zero. I guess he's getting.
No, wait. While we wait for Smurgo, I just wanted to add this. In our generation, what I saw a lot was the blind leading the blind. Basically, I think everyone has been in this space to understand what I mean by that. People that didn't know what they were talking about, telling other people what to do, and just leading them to bad outcomes. So basically, for everyone that's been in this space and all the new people in this space that have been listening to this message, everything we've learned prior to basically the red pill, black pill, and the manosphere talking points, just dump it all, man. And let's just go with something new. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we need to listen to people who have a track record and have a proven record, and everybody else has to be discarded. So the only thing I worry about is Gen Z, when they stop listening, they should still listen to the older generation, but listen to the right people with your best interests at heart.
Vision. They already stopped listening because they already got results by moving on to different people early. They've already moved past this shit.
But learn from positive examples.
Vision.
There's positive examples out here.
Yes. Gang culture and all that shit that held like the other 2 to 3 generations behind. Like, the new people on the market don't need to be told to stay away from that shit.
Right.
And I just want to say something. Everybody in this space is always showing you the success and they're selling you something, but they never tell you what happens when everything goes wrong. Don't reach the point where you can never return, because there's a lot of people that have gone there and they will never return and they will never recover. They're not showing you the result of that. So keep that in mind as well.
All right, Smurgo, what's going on? You ready?
Yeah, there was something wrong with my mic.
Yeah.
Basically, what the
young guys need to understand, because I'm 24. I just turned 24 yesterday.
Okay.
But what
cool.
the young guys were having.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday, man. You made it.
Thank you. But yeah, I've been over at Hammer shit, and we've been talking. The conversation that the young dudes are having is completely different what the old dudes are having. They're still on the old same shit. Make these bitches fall in line. Whatever the fuck they're talking about. And I keep telling Hammer and these guys, they need to be wary of these old niggas when they come over to these live streams, because they want to redirect the conversation from what you're talking about.
That's what it is.
That's why I asked Zero was when Art came up there, because I know Art and Style, he's in that BGS clique and all that shit. Did he come up there on some reset type shit?
And I told you no. I chatted to you. I said okay. So when he came up there, he stuck to the topic. He didn't come up there to do any fuck shit. So here's what I saw. MOT is basically preempting the future events. This is a pattern. This has already happened before. This isn't something new. This isn't some shit where he just guessed that it was going to happen. It's already happened before. That's the thing. It's happened multiple times. Every time, I'll put it this way. Remember last year when we was all over at Kuda's kicking it? What happened when the old niggas felt like they was left out and we weren't talking about what they was talking about? What did they do?
They reset the conversation.
They came over there, crashed the motherfucking party.
Yeah, they basically. Do you see where Art came in and he said he wanted to have like a panel for the young niggas?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they want to control the conversation because basically the old niggas want to control the space. Essentially, that's what it is at the end of the day. But what's going to happen is it's going to be a great divide, because what the young dudes, what we talk about, is nothing like what the older. It's two sections right now. The younger guys want to have like a completely different conversation moving forward past all this black woman talking about black bitches shit all day. We're done with that shit. That's the crux of it. That's it. But they want to keep bringing it back to that shit. They say, no, you can't walk off. You gotta, even if you do walk off, you gotta consider, well, you can't leave the community behind. What like, are you gonna have your legacy and all that? They try to subliminally and subtly guilt you into coming back and having a conversation, even if you're on the way out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what they do is they come through. It's like a post-hypnotic suggestion. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yes.
No, we're being so reasonable. So you know what? We're just gonna implant this shit in your mind, and all of a sudden we're just gonna say Brussels sprouts, and you're just gonna start running back.
That's what and I was in the chat. I knew something like that was gonna happen when he came up there talking. Like, okay, we're gonna have a conversation. What that means is y'all can have y'all little young nigga conversation, but we old niggas gonna be there overwatching the shit, making sure y'all talk the conversation going the way we want it to go. But that. Yeah. They need to avoid that shit entirely, and that's why I want to like stress to the guys my age in our group, like this the lower section of the of whatever the shit manosphere, it needs to be past that shit.
Yeah,
like
so this
completely
is
past it.
Smargo, this is what I'm saying, and I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I'm going to use this reference. They're literally trying to invite you to the red fucking wedding, man.
Damn.
We know what the fucking red wedding is about. I never read the fucking books, but I know the concept of inviting niggas to the red wedding.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
That's actually pretty accurate. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
yeah. Niggas are knocking on their chest to make sure that breastplate is fucking on there, and everybody about to get these fucking knives.
I ain't gonna lie. If I was an old failure nigga, you know. In my early 40s, with no prospects to actually like be shit in life, but like I do want to collect on my I want to collect on my default fuck shit retirement, right? I want to collect my Social Security. I want to get these. So yeah, I'm gonna try and keep this system going and keep niggas filling up my coffers. Yes. This way, when I retire and I get mine, and then I get to be able to die in my sleep. Okay, now you niggas figure it out. But you said, I know what I said, but you niggas figure it out. After I leave, I don't care what you niggas do. Just make sure that I don't lose my place. So yeah, I can see that.
And Zero, it will just perpetuate itself, and it will just bring me on more failure niggas, and they will teach the same thing. No, man, that's gotta go. It has to be ended.
So this is what people don't understand. It's a Ponzi scheme. It works good for the people who are at the top, but the people at the top of the Ponzi scheme, it's kind of like a bad multi-level marketing routine where you don't know that there is no way that you're going to get out of this shit. They already know that at the top. But you're trying to climb up this mountain and you don't know what's at the top yet. But you think the people at the top are just cheering you on. I'm like, no, by the time you get to the mountain, you're going to see a bunch of gravestones up there. And now you're up on the mountain and you figure out that these dudes died years ago, but it was just the messages of the past that you were hearing. You weren't hearing from actual success motherfuckers at the top of the mountain. It's like, what the fuck is this? I climbed up this mountain for no reason. I practice all this game from these lifestyle consultants, and them motherfuckers are already married to motherfuckers who are not tens. But I was listening to these motherfuckers all these years trying to get tens. What kind of shit is this? But see, you only find out once you get to the top of Mount Everest of this bullshit. Otherwise, at the bottom, you think that there's all this reward at the top of the fucking mountain, but people are only going up the mountain. Nobody's coming back down from the mountain. That's the problem here.
And all you hear is echoes of the past.
Yes. Boom. Here we go. Boom. That's exactly what you hear. Well, you know what? You didn't insert 20% mouthpiece mixed with 16% angular fucking glide, and that's why you That's what this shit is.
Angular glide.
And then like the person behind that guy's like, did you hear that? 20% angel with God. Then all of a sudden that person got up to the top and they get kicked off the mountain. They was like, yep, 30% glide. Yep, that was yesterday's solution. Today's solution. But doesn't matter because you're going to get kicked off the mountain. So now that's just everybody's passing down the message. And I know you motherfuckers have done this in fucking grade school. How they tell a message to one person and they tell everybody else in the classroom the fucking message. By the time the message gets to the final person in the classroom and the teacher asks the actual last student what the fuck was said to the first person.
Gotta bail out.
All right, come on. All right. It is nowhere near the actual previous statement that was said to the first person by the time it gets to the last person. That's exactly what it is. And it's like, we have allowed relationship consultants, the actual entertainment industry, to actually converge to teach us solutions to a problem they haven't even solved. And the actual answers to this solution for them is to keep playing until you find a solution.
And Gen Z isn't hearing that at all. They're not playing anymore. Like, not even like the younger dudes, they don't even want to hear the message. They don't want the message passed down to them, but they're trying to force it into their ears.
Correct.
That's the problem. And that's what they can't stand.
Yeah, and it's like, look, I just want to fail too. I'm like, dude, you ain't got that kind of time on your shot clock to be practicing this shit. These people who are quote unquote showing you all this great information, they haven't got the shit figured out either. But I don't care. I just want to try it anyway. Like, all right, man. You have to realize that these dudes, and guess what? You think that shit happens over here? It happens in most communities that don't work right. That's a Ponzi scheme too, where the old failed people with no qualifications don't like how fast the actual things are changing. So in order to stop change from changing very fast, they destroy everything across all lines to keep their power. This is a power play. They don't want to see their relevance walk out the window. They don't want to see this crazy culture fail. They need to tie you to the original problem so that way you can be able to end up at their result. The only thing is you're just not going to be up. There's not going to be anybody up there once you get up there. And
I just want to say this. Basically, productive men, mental means were meant to be livestock to just feed these vampires forever. That's all it is. And this is supposed to continue forever. Don't feed these vampires anymore. They're vampires. They're take, and give you nothing. They will leave you with nothing. They will leave you dead, boneless.
And that's the point. Because once you start, because in Black America, and probably in white America too, at this point, no one talks about outcomes and what's actually here. And how did all these dudes getting laid and getting all this ass made shit better for the individual man here? I get what the women got out of it. They got a cadre of actual men shitting on other men to get them to practice a false level of masculinity. So that way the actual dudes won't separate themselves from the culture. But you have to realize that you can leave all this shit alone today. Only thing you have to do is look at cultures that work, cultures that already prepare their men to not actually be on this marketplace forever. Trust me, I got uncles who are white. And guess what? That's preaching nearly the same bullshit that the fucking black uncles who were black was preaching. The same shit. Doesn't matter. Go in there, try this shit anyway, deal with the consequences. And then once you figure out why my uncle's living in a fucking one-bedroom apartment, doesn't matter whether they're black or white. Why? Same fucking issue. As soon as she pulled the ripcord and got the fuck out of there, now he has to pay for all this shit. So what I'm just simply saying, which is not hard to get, you have to leave this shit the fuck alone, because these people who you think they're entertaining you. They're not solving a problem. Entertainment and solving problems are two different things. Entertainment is about re-perpetuating evergreen content based off of one specific input and output. Solving problems is problem, possible solution, tangible solution, try the shit over again. Now, entertainment doesn't do that. They just keep representing you the same narrative over and over again, giving you false hope. But you don't need to see female nature be explained. First of all, there's no such thing as female nature. If you take all the actual consequences away from one side of the argument, they're going to have power over the other side. That's the way it is. You take away power from one side of the group, and if you give it to the other side of the people, it's not going to be the same, sir. At some point, you're going to have to look at it the way that it is. Yes, I don't believe any of those people, unless it's just like women allies. I don't think within this environment you even need women allies, other than to point out the actual dudes that shouldn't be trusted around you. Other than that, your choice should be leading the day. You shouldn't be needing other women to talk to other women about how to be fucking reasonable. You don't even need that shit. There's so much data out there. You don't need that type of conversation. You don't need an ally who's a 10 out of 10 to tell all these women not to engage in all these options out here. Because those women have the same options as the 10 out of 10, and there's really no consequences in being at the bottom of something, especially if you remove the consequences from being at the bottom of something. That's why standards was there in the first place, to protect the people at the top from the people at the bottom running shit. But a lot of people want to try to find this way of information laundering and ignorance peddling to actually feed into your head that no, you have the most power that you are right now, heading up against a system that has levels to your eventual defeat and demise, because that's what they're living. But see, you don't know the actual situation from beginning to end yet to even be able to see what they're saying is true or not. And these people actually get great access to these fucking people. This is why they want to be around younger people all the time. They want to make sure that your ass is steered right into these problems. They're not trying to steer you away from the problem, because we don't have that type of culture where men repeatedly, other than what I'm doing, telling you to leave this shit alone in total. Oh, that's cool, Zero. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying here. These older dudes, these dudes who are having so much fun talking about these goddamn problems, they're not here to help you. They're here to present this narrative, get paid, and have you take over these women. You're going to be the high value man here, not them. They're not even trying to fuck with these motherfuckers. Yeah.
That's why I say, like, KS is like one of the worst things that could happen to this space.
That's why I kept saying that the manosphere don't need to be mainstream. Nobody needs to know how dumb these motherfuckers are. Nobody. We know it. We don't need the world to know it.
Also, I just want to add this: when you speak of the levels, right? Level 1, right? The community, save the community, save this bad batch of product that never gave a damn about you. Level 2, you got to deal with feminism. Level 3, you got to deal with the alphabet agenda. Gen Z, you got a whole set of issues that are going to be coming in your future. And so basically, yeah, you gotta step away from all of this, and yeah, don't listen to people who are trying to get you back in a burning house. There's bigger things to fry, and so you'll need your agency, and you have to have your house in order, and then the world will be open to you. This message wasn't delivered very well earlier on due to dynamics and mainstream and other factors, but the message is here for you now. Make the best out of it. Basically, there's no more excuses. There's people with your interests at heart that are basically propagating this. You do not want to be on a failing end of what the outcomes are going to be. It's not going to be good. Don't get in a position where you can never come out.
You ain't really got to worry about that, because Gen Z ain't doing shit. Like, like, they don't even want to work. I'm not saying it like a bad way. Like, they don't want to build shit. They want to get rich off Bitcoin and the internet and shit. So, like, they're not picking up the slack for the old niggas, no matter how much they cry and beg them to do it.
We know the older people are. I mean, the younger people are right now, but there's people kind of in that danger zone of like 20 plus to like 50 who's still selling the same bullshit to other people. That's the people that we're talking about. I know my far younger cousins and like nephews and shit already get this shit because like acting like a goddamn hoodlum to get access to a woman is some shit you pretty much don't even need to be doing right now. And the information is already out there about the track record of that shit right now anyway. So that's just where we're at.
Hey, Smargo, I just want to say this. Somebody's got to write that algorithm that all these cryptos are dealing with. Somebody's got to maintain that machine that's going to replace that worker. Somebody's got to be able to do it. Be a part of it, even if you don't want to work. If you're going to do it from home remotely.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, that's not a problem, though. But what I'm saying is Gen Z's taking the easy way out on everything. So, like, instead of working in the fields all day and shit, digging ditches, Gen Z want to get rich off Dogecoin and make YouTubes and shit and be rich. Live better lives than the old niggas did. And really, at the end of the day, what I see it is mostly jealousy. The old niggas made a whole bunch of mistakes and shit, but their ultimate mistake was coming online and telling everybody the mistakes they made. And then the young guys came on and saw that, and now they're actually listening to what they're saying. We're not doing the same thing you're doing. So we're going to do the exact opposite of what you're doing. But what they had the adverse effect of, well, now the conversation stops because we're not going to do what you're doing. There's no need to talk about black women all day in circles, and there's no reason to talk about being a high value man so you can be a woman, so you can get a black woman and save the community and shit. The conversation now is, okay, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to go off and do what I need to do somewhere else.
Plus, they want you to. Plus, they want you to clean up the bad outcomes of what their decisions that their daughters are gonna make. They want you to go and raise up, clean up their mistakes. Not gonna happen.
That's why they want to control the conversation that the young guys are having, because they want to steer it in that direction. They have a lot of sympathy and empathy for their mistakes they created, their daughters and their children. And if the young black man ain't there to pick up the slack, carry on that baton, keep on the message. The young Gen Z black males are not worried about their counterparts. They're moving on, and they don't want us to fully move on, because that means that their daughters, their nieces, all that they fall into obscurity. There's no one to pick up that baggage, and quite frankly, nobody cares. We don't. We don't have any sympathy for that shit. We want to create our own best outcomes, live better lives for ourselves.
Yeah, but what I was talking about with New, it's like it's not near total control of the actual black people like it was, like acting like that. Yeah, it is overhyped, but we're talking about a 33% shift rather than a 97% shift. So while it's 33% improvement, 33% from damn near total control of the actual environment itself. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so we are saying the same thing. So the younger generations have got to get this shit. And most of these older people, man, you check out my information. You start practicing the shit I say and the shit that they're talking about, get your own goddamn conclusion. Because the actual level of people who want to see you clean up this shit ain't the level of people who want you to fix this shit. All right, there it goes. Hold on a second.
The biggest thing is get away from the bitches. Like, that's the biggest thing. And that's the crux of the old nigger arguments, is they always bring it back to the bitches. It's like if you stop talking about that and you move on, this shit, talk about crypto, that's what Soul TV talks about. Talk about fucking crypto and Tinder and shit. But it's different because he dates out. You know, it's like, move on. We have to move on and like cut the conversation right here at the roots, because they're gonna try and reset this shit and get the young niggas to be on the same shit the old niggas was on, to have a infinite conversation about unruly bitches. Essentially, that's what they want to do. They want to pass that unruly bitch conversation baton on to the young niggas, but they want to do it in a different way, because they know that we aren't really dealing with them, but they want to like have it in the back of our mind, like, it's still a problem, it's still there, right? What Gen Z is saying is we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so it's like this. Like in previous generations, it was near total. The information is out there far right now, and it never was out there by itself. Like because there was an actual subculture of actually protecting the disrespect and the disregard of people within the environment with sexual access. I'm just saying that shit doesn't have the power that it used to. I'm not going to say that it's all the way over, but at the end of the day, this is a good direction to be going in and a good conversation to be having, because that is what the actual thing that we got to be able to protect these dudes. And we got to be able to show them, no, you got to ask these type of questions. If the answer is those people were never prepared, then everybody knows not to talk about trying to save anything. You need to stick to having 18 and 19 and 20-year-old problems. Don't be trying to fix these 60 and 70-year-old problems with your shit, because you've been socialized into doing that. So that's all I got on a particular subject. You got any last words, Vision, before we get up out of here?
Yeah. Also, what I've noticed, MOT, is some of these old dudes are competing with these young dudes for their girls, right?
Oh yeah,
That's a whole
that's
nother.
that. Kevin Samuels said that shit. Kevin Samuels said he can't knock the 22-year-olds off with the stick. Like,
Yeah,
no,
go.
what?
Sorry for this. No,
Yeah.
no, this is my last thought, right? This is, you guys can have that conversation, but this is just
Oh my
something I've
bad,
also
I didn't mean to
observed.
cut you off, but I would just say,
No,
yeah,
you,
that
no,
was funny as
yeah,
fuck. Yeah.
the old dudes are competing with these young dudes for their girls, and they're not dealing with the messed up batch that they have over there. Basically,
Here's the thing. The younger women are always going to go after the older, particular dudes that's even acceptable within society. That isn't old. I mean, that's not new. That's pretty much the same thing. But this is pretty much why that dude can't engage in any options at all. Because anybody who do, it's going to be nationwide news and the moment it breaks up. So that's what I'm saying. So, Smirgo, any last words before we get out of here?
Yeah, basically, we ain't cleaning up shit. So you old niggas can stop intruding in the young nigga conversation. It ain't happening. Stop trying to reset shit. We're moving on. We ain't talking about these bitches no more. We are. They ain't gonna be from this country.
Yeah.
MOT, just let me finish this quickly. Basically, listen to the.
Gotta go. Zero.
All right,
Last thing before we get up out of here. All right. He's picking up Ultron 5 from school. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. I'm the man tomorrow here. Today's conversation was based on what happened at Hammers. It wasn't really, well, I guess you can kind of say it was, but there's an underlying issue of what's actually happening in society and the environment from people who are obviously pro-black trying to poison the conversation or steer the conversation of the younger dudes, and we can't have that shit. Especially if you have these bullshit-based conversations where you invite all these reptiles up. You don't need to be going to nobody else trying to sound fucking reasonable. Because that shit ain't fucking rational at all. Haven't taken no side, haven't organized, called anybody, or any of that other shit. So I'm going to be covering Roland Martin's comments about black misinformation. I'm going to do that tomorrow night. There's 2 videos. We're going to go over them with Mike V, probably Renaissance Man, and the Gone 11. We're going to be doing that on Zoom because now we got the issues resolved with that. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. I'm the man tomorrow. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a really nice night. Peace.